So let's talk about this article right here today. We're going to do a quick video about how the European Central Bank, they're trying to put shade on Bitcoin's name. They're trying to say that this particular cryptocurrency does not have value. Now, what day and time do they think we live in? Do they really think that we have any worry about what they think? Because the market ultimately decides who determines value, not one or two individuals who work for a central bank. Bitcoin has been around for more than a decade. So why are they still trying to rein in and act like Bitcoin is worthless? It's not. There's a market. Recently, a spot Bitcoin ETF was recently approved. So now we have big finance institutions participating with this particular cryptocurrency. But yet and still, they still want to come out and tell us that Bitcoin doesn't have any value. Look at the title of the article from the Daily Huddle. European central bank officials blast Bitcoin, say fair value of Bitcoin is still zero. To who? Because that would be my next question to the individuals who said that. How is it still zero when I could go to multiple cryptocurrency exchanges and actually purchase Bitcoin, even after the United States ETF approval? So even after all of the achievements that the cryptocurrency market has made since its inception, you still have old people still telling us that Bitcoin doesn't have value. When you go to a cryptocurrency exchange, for instance, this is the value of Bitcoin right here. Look at the price right here on the right side of my chart. The current value of Bitcoin is $51,219. Whenever you have a buyer and a seller, that determines value, not what one or two people have to say about it. Just because those two individuals, or however many it is, don't want to trade, invest, participate around Bitcoin, doesn't mean that the overall world does not want to. You're more than welcome to not buy Bitcoin. Okay, cool. To you, it doesn't have value, but to the majority of other people, it does. Maybe it's because it places control outside of them, to where they have no control over Bitcoin. So yeah, if you're in the camp of the ECB, the Federal Reserve, and other central banks across the world, of course you have to come out and put shade on Bitcoin's name, because you can't touch it. You cannot actually ring it in and regulate it so that you can say it does have value. Maybe that's the reason why they keep coming out with these articles. So we need to kind of reverse engineer their statements from what they're saying. If they're saying that it has value, then the opposite must be it has value. So take a look at this. Officials of the European Central Bank are not convinced that Bitcoin is a valuable financial asset despite the US approval of a spot exchange traded fund for the flagship cryptocurrency. You don't have to be convinced. The market should have already told you where the value is. It's the proof. This is the actual proof that there is value. Just because they're not convinced, okay, life still moves on. Now, the ECB, for those who don't know, is the central bank of the European Union. Those who use the euro as their currency. Now, in a new blog post, ECB Director General Ulrich Bindseil and advisor Jürgen Schaaf say that the decision of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to greenlight Bitcoin spot ETF applications on January 10th does not change the fact. Oh, so they're trying to convince us that what they're saying is a fact, that the crypto asset is not a suitable means of payment or as an investment. So we got two men trying to tell us that Bitcoin is not suitable means of payment or as an investment, when we already know that there's businesses accepting Bitcoin for payment, and we already know that there's institutional demand coming in Bitcoin purchasing it. But they're still trying to say, even though the SEC approved the spot Bitcoin ETF, it still has no value. You cannot make this stuff up. Quote, for disciples, the formal approval confirms that Bitcoin investments are safe, and the preceding rally is proof of an unstoppable triumph. We disagree with both claims and reiterate that the fair value of Bitcoin is still zero. Okay, they're going to continue to reiterate as Bitcoin's price and other cryptocurrency assets continue to change the landscape of financial monetary policy, and they won't be able to participate in it. When time comes 15, 20 years down the line and Bitcoin is still seen as pristine, then where would they be? They'll come back and create another article and say that the ECB will now accept Bitcoin for payment and that it is an excellent form of an investment. But it's going to be too late. Now, these two individuals say that Bitcoin is hardly used for payment, except by criminals who use it for their illicit transactions. Again, this is becoming mundane and played out. Running with that narrative is so played out. It has been beaten to a pulp to where it does not faze people anymore. It doesn't even move Bitcoin's price, because logical people, when they come out with this type of statement saying that Bitcoin is being used by criminals, automatically, prior to the dawn of cryptocurrency, what was criminals using for payment and transactions? Like, what were they using then? Yeah, they was using cash. They was using their monetary form of payment that they control, that they regulate. Quote, Bitcoin transactions are still inconvenient, slow, and costly. Outside the darknet, the hidden part of the internet used for criminal activities, it is hardly used for payments at all. The reason is because the fiat monetary system still has a firm grasp on the economy. If the overall world saw that Bitcoin was a lot better means, the economy would crash, because there's only a limited supply of Bitcoin. Everyone else will be rushing out to go out and purchase it way before the ECB and other central banks were able to rank it in. They say that Bitcoin is neither a good investment and warn that mining the cryptocurrency continues to cause massive environmental pollution. Wow. So you try to place all of the environmental pollution that is going on in the world today off of Bitcoin, when in fact that you just said recently in an article that it's barely even used. So if it's barely even used, how are you going to try to cause Bitcoin being the main factor as to why it's causing massive environmental problems? It don't correlate. It don't go together. They need to get their lives together. They need to get their act straight, because it doesn't make sense. Now, it would make sense if Bitcoin was being used all across the world for payment, for investment. It's being used constantly at multiple places of businesses, for it to be a massive environmental problem, because it's just continually being used. But in one instance, you say it's only being used by criminals, nobody else is using it. But then in the next breath, you're turning around and saying that, hey, hold on, Bitcoin is causing massive environmental problems, pollution. Now make it make sense. Quote, it does not generate any cash flow, unlike real estate or dividend stocks, cannot be used productively, commodities, and offers no social benefit, gold jewelry, or subjective appreciation based on outstanding abilities, works of art. But the thing that it does do is that it keeps your assets safe from their control. You notice how he didn't say that, whoever it was, one of those two men. You know how they didn't say that? It keeps their control away from your assets to where they cannot take it from you. And just like with gold jewelry, just like with works of art, if two people come together on an agreement on price for these works of art or gold jewelry, then that's a trade, that is value. So as long as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency has a market to where people are willing to buy and sell and agree on price, that is value. Don't let what these two people have to say try to determine to you that Bitcoin is Bitcoin is worthless, because it's not. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go through this whole article, but this just goes to show that you need to use logical reasoning on the basis as to what people have to say. Okay. Venture capitalist and former Coinbase CTO Balaji, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, responds to the statements by sharing a long-term chart of Bitcoin paired against the euro pair on social media platform Twitter or X. The euro has collapsed against Bitcoin, quote, and I quote that. Look at it right there. It's only worth 21 satoshis. 1 euro is worth 21 satoshis, down 99.35%. Look at that. So now if you were an advocate for the euro, yeah, you will have some hate, because all that these European Union bankers have been saying is nothing but cap. That's it. They're not telling you the truth. This chart is telling you the truth, what people value between Bitcoin and a euro. Because if the euro is truly valuable, then this chart will reflect opposite. It will be worth more and Bitcoin will be worth less. Don't let these people fool you, because it's the truth right here. People value Bitcoin more, and we do appreciate Balaji telling us this by showing us this. So make it make sense, because there is a market. And zooming out this price chart for Bitcoin, it's a very long market for Bitcoin. Okay. Boom. What else is there to talk about? When you see these type of articles generated, or you see people who are against Bitcoin, Jamie Dimon and other people trying to say that it's worthless, that just tells you that they're concerned, that they're worried that what they peddle, that what they consider as having value, a piece of paper, that is dwindling in its control, in its grasp. That's why they're worried. That's why they had to come up with these quotes, these statements. It's because every day that goes on, it's just another day that they're losing control of the monetary financial system. All right. So that's all. I just wanted to go ahead and talk to you all about it and how you should perceive these articles that you may come across, or how you should perceive what people have to say negatively about Bitcoin. Give me your thoughts. Make sure you maintain the profitability. And as always, trade different.